So one of the things that I thought was really great for this to line up today is it is actually proven fact that classical music in particular is one that activates the brain toward creativity and toward calm. And so this space that we've just experienced, the intonation, the toning, it brings us into a different reality. The brain responds to particular tones in a particular way. But we are creating the life we want instead of creating the life we don't want. And we are declaring, let there be light. And what I find really ironic about the Genesis account is that the being that is called God in the Genesis account steps into the middle of absolute darkness, complete darkness, and declares the opposite of the experience. I just think it's really audacious to stand in the middle of an experience and declare the exact opposite. To be able to have the imaginative, creative ability to stand in your experience and declare what you want, not what you're experiencing. To declare what you want to see manifested in that mattering moment without having any evidence that it could. In fact, imagination is the ability to see the possibilities beyond the situation. If you can imagine it, it's already in the quantum field. And yes, that does mean that evil things that have gotten distorted are also in the quantum field, but we get to choose what we'll take from that menu. I get to choose my menu every single day. I did not know that when I was in my 20s. I didn't realize all of the stuff I was trying to dump off. I didn't realize all of the hoarding of thoughts that I had been hoarding up, the things I'd been conditioned to believe. And my beliefs, y'all, look, I wanted to reach beyond what I believed, but my beliefs actually limited me. And I believe unlearning is probably just as important as learning. I think unlearning is actually wisdom. Letting go of the old system. How many of you have had an iPhone as far back as iPhone 4? You remember an iPhone 4? Do you use it now? Does your iPhone 4? Okay, but it's what happened was as they began to build more and more advanced and progressive iOS, the iPhone 4 won't update with the newest updates. In fact, it hasn't updated for some 6 or 7 years. That's why. That's why I only use it as an MP3 player. It's relegated to that. It's actually only relegated to what already exists because it's not available to download anything new. Think about it. Is that you? Have you gotten your operating system so removed from the network that you can't download the latest? You know, this is why Jesus, the Master, says, if you pour new wine into old wineskins, they just burst. And this is one of the reasons people are losing their ever-loving minds right now as we go through the biggest shift that we have experienced as human beings, because shift does happen. And it is a shifting, and it is a sifting, and we're in the process. That's why, we see things and we go, that's kind of the sign language for mind blown. Good. And if something that transpires in here or something that we're doing irritates you, good. Do you know that it was up till the 19th century they didn't even make shoes that formed to your feet? They were just straight shoes. In fact, I'll read it right here. Pull down this article. Prior to the 19th century, left and right shoes were identical, rather than contoured to fit your foot. So-called straight shoes were so uncomfortable that the idea of custom-made shoes arose. In other words, I'll say it this way: crisis often precipitates evolution. And most of the time, we don't evolve unless we get uncomfortable. So, I used to meet with this group of preachers. Notice I said used to. I used to meet with this group of preachers in my area, and I became known as the irritation pastor. I was the irritant. That's where I got the thing. For some people, I was the pastor, and for some people, I was the pester. Okay? I was the guy that showed up with earrings and ripped jeans and in a clerical collar with a cross that made me look like Buffy's pastor. It blew their minds. Because here I was, this charismatic word of faith preacher dude from down the street that grew up in this area and shouldn't have a church growing as fast as it was. And I show up in ripped jeans, tucked in clerical shirt with a big old cross. And they were like, you can't do the spiked hair, the earrings, and the stuff. What? You can't do that. So I had a preacher tell me one time as I walked into the Ministerial Alliance meeting, he looked at me and he said, John Scott, you're the milk of magnesia of the body of Christ. And I said, what? And he said, if you can't get us moving, I don't guess anything will. I didn't know if it was a compliment or a criticism, but either way I was going to take it. I was like, well, I guess if I'm irritating you, maybe I'm getting you ready for evolution. See, we revolve around what is. We evolve past what is. And if you get involved with spirit, you will evolve instead of revolving. People are calling for a revolution, and I'm calling for an evolution, because a revolution is just revolving around what always has been. If we're going to create a new system, we have to start with new stuff. And the operating systems that we've had up to this point will not download the new update. That includes New Thought. I didn't know how much I irritated New Thought folks until they told me that, I don't know if we want you around here because you just a little bit crazy. They would say, you drive us crazy. And I said, well, you have to drive to get there. I just stay there. With gas prices the way they are, I'll just hang. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the cul-de-sac of nuts. You know what I mean? I said, we're all just a bunch of mixed nuts and fruits. That's it. That's what we are. We're cereal religion people. I'm sorry. I'm in red form today. For some reason, for me, because I don't read the Bible much anymore, I'm not sure. Do we still have one of my Bibles at the house somewhere? I don't know. I read it so much for so long. I've read it through I don't know how many times. I read through 66 and 73. I was trying to be the best of both worlds. I took what Paul said seriously, be all things to all people. So I started studying the Catholic Bible and the Protestant Bible because I wanted to get like a well-rounded view. I got about midway through Maccabees and I was like, wow. And I was reading King James, and a hitherto and a forthwith, and I'm done for. You know what I mean? So I had to make some adjustments to my whole being around that. So I don't read the Bible a whole lot anymore, although sometimes scriptures will come to mind. And last week, as I started preparing the chat to get this series going, this one came to mind. Casting down every imagination and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Now, I wanted to read before in this chapter what's happening, and I wanted to read after, because chapter and verse was not added until many years later. The Bible didn't used to read in chapters and verses. It just all ran together. So sometimes if you read it like a book, this is one of the problems, because people say, I believe the book, and I go, which one? There's 66 or 73, depending on what religion you've chosen. It's not a book. It's called a Bible for a reason. Ta Bibliae means a library. But it wasn't in chapter and verse. So I wanted to go back and see what Paul's talking about. And look, y'all, if you're Bible people, then you would know that really 2 Corinthians is almost an apology letter for 1 Corinthians. Because, Paul handed it to him in 1 Corinthians. His first letter to the church in Corinth was like, boom. He was still hooked up deep to his law-ridden space when he wrote 1 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians, he kind of gets loose a little bit. And he says, look, I'm sorry. I'll give you an example. In 1 Corinthians, he said, there's this guy who keeps on sinning, cast him out and wish him dead. Yeah, I know that's an oversimplification, but essentially that's what he said. In 2 Corinthians, he said, y'all remember that guy said, cast him out and wish him dead? Y'all go get him and love on him. And they're really confused. They're like, what the hell? Do we kill him or do we love on him? Do we kill him first, raise him from the dead, and then love on him? Well, I don't know, because you're talking about the resurrection of the dead, and they that die with Christ shall be raised with Christ. Yeah. Can you imagine being a follower of the Apostle Paul? Oh, my God. When I get to heaven, if I get to heaven, like they tell me I'm going to go to heaven if I repent and get saved, when I get to heaven, the first person I'm going to walk up to is Paul and go, dude, you were born in the wrong century. You needed medication. He says here, though, cast down every imagination. Now, when I think of cast down, I think of like get rid of it. But you know what? I'd like to look at it this way. Instead of casting down, I think he's saying put aside any imagination that is plotting against you and your success. Any imagination, any thought that crops up throughout your day that is plotting against you and your best life, set it aside. It could be useful. Years ago, we used to say like this, we used to say, hey, if you'll lose your stinking thinking, you'll change your life. So I thought about that when I came to this verse. Some thoughts are only good as fertilizer. Use them carefully. Don't fragrance your house with it. Fertilize your garden with it. I'm not saying get rid of them because in some way they were in consciousness, that's how they arrived. I'm not saying they're bad or good. See, we need to stop judging because judgment will turn your light off. Judgment will always turn the light off. It'll make it impossible to really see what's there. I'm saying see it for what it is, but if it's a thought that tears you down, why continue thinking it? Your cells within your body are begging you to upgrade your thinking. Let this mind be in you, which also was in Jesus, who didn't see it robbery to count himself equal with God. Look at your neighbor and tell them, you are God. What are you creating? Y'all said that real quiet. Are you afraid lightning's going to strike? So I looked up some stuff about imagination. You proud of me? Look, my imagination ran wild, though, once I got here. And I love how Dr. Bruce Lipton says, the moment you change your perception is the moment you are writing the chemistry of your body. All right, check this out. I want you to imagine for just a moment that this body that you're walking around in is the nation of you. It is your country. This is your nation. Are the citizens and the government in alignment? Look at the United States. All it is just a, what's the word, a microcosm? It's just a microcosm of what's going on inside of us internally. I mean, really. At the end of the day, there are pockets of people who are disgruntled with the way the government's running things, right? There may be some pockets in here who want to see things change, right? And so what happens? We vote. But then what happens? When the whole thing is so divided that voting doesn't even change things anymore. It's just division and fighting, and all of us become experts about everything. I mean, we're social media experts. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but the social media university should be charging for all of the education that apparently seems to be coming down the pipe because we have turned a bunch of people into virologists and into psychologists and into international affairs experts. I put up a post this last week I had to. It was Forrest Gump. Did y'all see it? And just like that, overnight, he says, everyone stopped being experts about viruses and became experts about international affairs. Yeah, because it's just, and here's the deal. We're so divided, but it's a crisis that is precipitating, it is leading us into, it is bringing us into evolution. It's the breaking of the water so that the womb can expel what has been holding on to the new life so that the new life can be brought into the world. It's a flood. And coming into April, we're going to see the head crown. And a new life's going to be born. We've been in the process of this. We've been in gestation already. This is why we're experiencing the contraction pains now. But imagine that this body that you live in is your nation. It's your country. And there are pockets within this body that are disgruntled. They don't understand what the government's doing. You know why? Because the government can't figure out what it wants to do. Because the unconscious mind is packed full of limitations. The unconscious mind is packed full of negativity. And yet the conscious mind is trying to shift and change things. But the conscious mind only does 5% of the work every day, and the unconscious mind does 95%. And so when there's division, a house divided will fall. United we stand. I'm not asking about America, I'm asking about us as individual nations, the nation of John Scott. Because here's the deal, the moment that you begin to change your perception is the moment you're writing the chemistry of your body. They have proven through epigenetics, and epigenetics, epi means beyond the gene or above the gene. Because doctors for many years thought we were victims of the genes. I don't know what they didn't like about my genes, but they were, it's because they were holy. I had some holy genes. But epigenetics tells us that you are actually in charge of the genes because you're the environment in which the DNA grows, and 99.9999999% of every cell, 50 trillion, is empty space. Your cells don't matter until you matter them. You manifest onto the cells the life you choose. Who's writing your story? Well, you are, through your beliefs, through what you believe about you. So how do you begin to write what you want on the cells instead of just being corrupted? Listen, it's like carrying around a virus. And if you've ever had a Windows computer, you've had a virus. It does not matter. You had it 5 minutes, you got a virus. It's one of those things. I'm not saying once you go Mac, you don't go back. But I'm just saying that if you have a Windows unit, you're going to have a virus somewhere. And when you have a virus, the operating system does not operate at its highest potential. The worst virus that we've been experiencing as a human race is not COVID. The worst virus we've been experiencing as a human race is us not fully developing our full conscious selves. You are divine presence in this earth. Your conception or perception of reality is what shapes your reality. What you take personal becomes a part of your personality, and it gets impressed into your personal reality. So what reality do you want? You say, well, I'm this age and I got this education and I'm retired or I'm trying to retire and I've done this and I've done that and I've tried everything and I just can't get this thing. What do you mean, what do I want? No, I'm not asking what you've had. I'm asking, what do you want? Do you want to operate at an iPhone 4? Or do you want to upgrade the hard drive and the software? Is it going to be expensive? It might cost you. You know what it'll cost you? Being a little uncomfortable. What it'll cost you is for you to spend the currency of your imagination and your thoughts on what you really want, not what you don't want. Because where your focus goes, your energy is automatically flowing. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't make any difference. Those thoughts are out there, those realities are out there, and you get to choose from the quantum field what you want. You mean I can be rich? You already are. You just are not aware of it in your cells yet. What is rich? You mean I can have all the money in the world? No. Rich doesn't mean wealthy with money. The currency we have now is just an illusion anyway. Rich means having everything you need to fulfill the life that you came here to live. That's what rich means. And it doesn't matter what it's called. The currency is just currently what we're using to make exchanges. Being rich means being fulfilled and living in abundance in every way. It's not about big cars and big houses. I know people with big cars and big houses that have big heartaches. They don't trust themselves. They don't trust anyone else around them. They're not living their life fulfilled. It's great to have money, isn't it? Isn't it wonderful to have money? But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just your servant. If you're serving it, you're a slave to it. But use it as a servant. Know that wealth and health and wisdom and all of those things are available to you in the quantum field. You can pick it out of the quantum field every single day. I'm picking fruit from the tree that never goes without fruit. I'm eating from the tree of life instead of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because I don't want to live divided within this nation that John Scott is. I've decided to send love to every cell. See, some of us are having a hard time with losing weight, or some of us having a hard time with getting our health in order because we're too busy downgrading the cells in our body. If you hate parts of your body, then that's what your body is receiving, a hateful message from you. And that means the president, you, of your nation, is downgrading. It is separating the richest from the richest and the poorest from the poor. And it's time for you to bring those two together and make your whole being abundant. I know people that you'll say, oh my gosh, you look so good today. And they will within the next 2 minutes tell you why they don't. Don't know how to take a compliment. They'll tell you why they don't. Well, yeah, I mean, I might look all right today, but boy, you should have seen me on Friday. Man, everything might look all right, but if you saw my toes, woo, you'd hate me. Man, if I could just get my hands the way I want my hands to be, if I could just. And you know what? Your hands are hearing you. Your feet are hearing you. Your belly is hearing you. Your wrinkles are hearing you. And they don't need downgrade, they need to upgrade. Receive the compliment. Upgrade yourself. If you're loving your country, you're going to bring your country into economic abundance. And when I talk about economy, I'm not talking about money. I just mean everything, every need supplied. You want to provide health care to your body? It's time for you to do it through changing your conception. A cell adjusts its genetics and its activity to conform to the environment. How does a cell know what's going on in the environment? My mind is interpreting the environment and then sending the not real information about the environment, but my interpretation of the environment. How I interpret the environment. Dr. Bruce Lipton took DNA, and he took the DNA, and he placed these identical particles of DNA in 3 different dishes, petri dishes. Changed the environment. In one petri dish, they grew muscle. In the other, they grew bone. And in the other, grew fat. Identical DNA, different environment, grew something different. This freaked him out. Because he said, wait a minute. Isn't skin DNA supposed to grow skin only? All I did was change the environment. The environment you create within your body is creating your body. If you create doubt, confusion, hatred, if you create depression, if you create a belief that you're not good, that you're not well, that you're not whole, if you create that kind of an environment, your cells follow through with your commands. Imagine a life fulfilled. Can you do it? Can you close your eyes for a moment and think about one thing that would make you feel completely fulfilled? Just one thing. Just one thing. As you pull that thought up, what happens? Do you notice other distracting thoughts jumping in there? Do you notice other things trying to tell you, oh, no, that'll never happen? Because some of you right now just saw yourself sitting on a beach in Hawaii sipping a pina colada, and everything in your head said, no, you can't afford that. I mean, you're on a fixed income, except it's broke. But you know that you can't go there and do that. See, those thoughts, imaginations that exalt themselves against your divine self, cast those things aside. Tell them, excuse me, right now I'm fantasizing. Excuse me, right now I'm sitting on a beach sipping a pina colada. You say, how does that matter? You create an environment that gives your cells their marching orders to create a life for you that you want, not a life you don't want. So our civilization is in a little bit of crisis. There's still people warring in the world. How do we change that? Well, I don't change them. I never will be able to. So where does it start and end? Here. Here. I don't want to police your world. I want to work my own. Imagine that you can. And sit with that feeling of a wish fulfilled. And you will create what you want, not what you don't want. Some people say, well, it's just easier said than done. I say it's easier said and then done. Say it, act on it every day. Because what you practice becomes a habit, and what becomes a habit builds your habitat. The house you want to build is within every thought that you choose. Some would say, well, I didn't choose diabetes. I didn't choose hypertension. I didn't choose high blood pressure. I didn't choose the life that I have. I didn't choose the abuse I went through. I didn't choose any of that. I don't know. What if some of us signed a contract before we came here? What if some of us are working off some of that cosmic karma? What if some of us are moving through this space to regenerate, to experience what it is to take charge of our own lives? What if some of us are sent here to learn to stop reacting and to start responding? You're hearing a message right now that absolutely will bring you complete freedom. I'm telling you, it will change the rest of your life. And the question is how much more of your life do you want to live the same way? If you're good with it, go with it. But I wasn't. And I decided to trade in the old iPhone 4 and get the newest one they had on the market. And it changed my life. I look back over my life now and I realize it's all perfect. I realize I created the majority of my crisis. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to blame my ex-wives. And I did for a little while, and that worked for a little while. Oh, yeah, it was them, not me. I wanted to blame my mom and dad. I wanted to blame my religion. I wanted to blame all of that was perfect. It all brought me to where I'm at right now. And I look back over it now and I say, you know what? It's all perfect. It's all perfect. There's some classes I would never take again, but it's all perfect. It's all perfect. What is in your imagination is directly affecting your creation. You can decide. And it's going to take practice. That's what it will cost you, is practice. What you're doing daily is creating your days. I've given us some practical things. I want to share a couple of those with us, and then we're going to get out of here. Whatever you plant in your subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become your reality. Again, whatever you plant in your subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become your reality. So starting today, not tomorrow, don't wait. This is not like a crash diet that you go, well, let's see. Well, I got my birthday coming up, and then I've got that celebration at Easter coming up, and I'm going to want one of those chocolate bunnies, so let's see. And then, if I get in the middle of this, Cinco de Mayo is going to show up, and I really want to, turn it up then. So, let's see. I'll tell you what, I'm going to start that, I'm still going to start that diet on June the 1st. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just gonna, in the meantime, I'm just going to have a good time. I'm going to start at June the 1st. Oh, man, that's going to be running me right into July the 4th. And I want to drink a lot of beer that weekend, so I don't know what am I. This is not a crash diet and something that you got to think about starting later. This is something you can take pleasure in starting right now. Starting today. When you leave this place and you have the opportunity to be offended, just don't. What? Just don't. When the offense starts to come up, you know what it feels like. Yeah, Atlanta traffic. You can feel it start at your toes. I'm getting better at it, y'all, where I stop at about right there. It used to get here. That's why I don't have any hair anymore. So as the emotions begin to rise, that text from that person, you know that person? Y'all know because just now you thought of the person. That text, oh, help me, Jesus, with them. You know it, the feeling when it starts. Go ahead, cast down every imagination that's blocking your path. Let it go. Let it go. Start today. As you go to sleep tonight, instead of thinking about what you didn't like about today, how bad that conversation went, or how much you lost it in traffic. Don't even go guilt there. If you end up doing that in traffic, or you end up getting upset with that person that texted you that you just flat don't like and you're trying your best to love. If you lost it, don't sit in guilt. I promise you, if you marinate the meat of your life in guilt, it's not going to taste good. As you go to bed tonight, go to bed with these words. Thank you. Simple. Thank you. And your brain will say, for what? And isn't that wonderful? Because then as soon as your brain says, for what, it brings your focus to the what. And you can't be negative while you're in Thanksgiving. Because your brain's not going to, when you say thank you, you trigger your brain to remind you of what to be thankful for. It automatically starts happening, y'all. I'm saying, say the word now. Say the words, thank you. Thank you. What comes to mind? Anybody? I woke up. Breathing. Thank you. That's very kind of you. You know what comes to mind for me? The amazing, I was going to say fiddle. The amazing violin that we got to hear today. It comes to mind. All of you being here and honoring it, feeling like this is a place you want to be enough to be here on a Sunday. Then you can start just listing things. I'm so thankful today I got to drink water. I'm so thankful today that it's clean water. I'm so grateful today that I was able to take a shower. You should be grateful too. I am so grateful today that Bob allows us to stay to hang out in this space. I'm so grateful that you decided to be here. So thankful that Carrie helps me with the sound and the videos and all of the stuff and things that I don't even think about that thankfully she thinks about. I'm so thankful today that I have a relationship with all of you. I'm thankful today that I know that I can create the life that I want to live. You start listing it. So as you're laying on your bed at night, let the first words that you say as your head hits the pillow, instead of, oh man. I know some of us make noises the older we get when we crawl into bed. We make the same noises getting out. But instead of all of that, bring yourself down on the pillow. And if you can't think of anything else to be thankful for a pillow and a bed to sleep in, a roof over your head. Somebody, somewhere, will sleep under a bridge tonight. Be thankful. Bring yourself into a place of gratitude. It always shifts your attitude and directly affects the altitude with which you fly through this life. Start with thanksgiving and then start naming what you want. And instead of saying, I will be happy, say, I am happy. See, I will be is always in the future. If you record yourself saying, I will be, and you play it back in a year from now, you know what it's still going to say? That's exactly right. I will be pushes it off. I am happy. I am fulfilled. I am successful. I am abundant. I am prosperous. I am wealthy. I am wise. I am love. I am loving. I am kind. I am healed and whole and complete. I am living my best life right now. That script I want to be a movie already is. That new song I want to write already is. That business I want to start already is. It is now. I know the name of it. I call it out, and I can sit there and imagine myself doing what it takes to make that happen, and for that to be in abundance and fully going. And you, all of a sudden, you find yourself in your imagination creating the possibilities rather than ruminating on experiences. the power of imagination makes all that's possible available in this physical life. It's all possible. You're the one who makes it probable. You're the one who makes it a reality. Boom. Boom. Take a few moments, if you would, and just allow yourself to sit here in a relaxed state. Just feel the floor beneath you. Feel the chair that's holding you. Feel the love that's in this room. Feel the love that is within you. Choose just one thing, one place, one thing to focus on for a few moments. Something that you really are choosing to manifest into your life. Whether it's a place you want to go, a feeling that you want to feel, imagine yourself there. You see, I visit Ireland and Scotland every morning and every night because that's a place I intend to go. And I sit in the green grass and I feel the breeze and I look at the cliffs hanging over the water. And I listen to the ocean as it crashes against the mountains there in Scotland and Ireland. And I imagine myself there. Wherever it is for you, whatever it is for you that brings you that feeling, feel it. What does it smell like? What does it feel like? To have achieved the goal that you've long time had. To be in a fulfilling relationship, romantically, to have the job you really want, to be able to create wealth through what you desire to do, rather than having to work for anyone else. What is that feeling? What does it feel like to you? Allow yourself to feel it. These five senses that we have are the very things that we make sense of life with. Imagine that you are happy. That you're filled with joy. As you receive a deep breath, allow yourself to just be fully relaxed in this space. Imagine the fulfillment of the wish and the desire as if it already is right now. I'm going to invite you to repeat a few affirmations after me, if you will, because your ears need to hear you make these declarations. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am wise. I am happy. I am full of joy. I am generous. I am kind. I am courteous. I am courageous. I am confident. I am fulfilled. I am living my best life. I am that I am. I'll invite you now to place your hands on your lap in a receiving position. I'm going to invite us into a series of 3 deep breaths, just breathing in through the nose about 4 or 5 seconds, and then releasing the breath through the nose as well. Hold that breath at the top for just a moment, allowing yourself to feel the surge of the life force of the breath. And then I'll give instructions for exhalation. Preparing now for that first breath together. Begin. And exhale. And that second breath together, begin. And exhale. That third breath together, begin. And exhale. Now bring yourself back into this room. You can gently open your eyes when you want to. If you want to stretch, you can. Feel the circulation throughout your arms and your hands. You can wiggle those fingers and toes if you want. Look around at all of the beauty in the room. Send somebody a smile. Share the love. Ain't that beautiful?